The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stretched high above the gathered representatives from across known space. Crystal walls hummed with energy, while holographic displays showed star maps and trade routes that connected hundreds of worlds. Captain Lisa Martinez stood behind Ambassador Kate Sullivan, watching as alien faces turned toward the human delegation with expressions that ranged from boredom to barely hidden disgust. Counselor Lyrelay Moonwhisper rose from her silver throne, her pointed ears catching the artificial light as she moved. Her voice carried across the chamber with the authority of someone who had never been questioned. The elf woman spoke with calm certainty, as if discussing the weather rather than the fate of billions of humans. The matter before us today concerns the aggressive expansion of the human species beyond acceptable boundaries, Lyrelay announced, her pale eyes fixed on Kate Sullivan without warmth. Earth has violated the territorial agreements established when they joined this council 150 years ago. Kate stepped forward, her diplomatic training keeping her voice steady despite the anger building inside her chest. She had prepared for this moment for months, knowing that human colonies were doing nothing wrong by settling empty worlds that posed no threat to anyone. The accusations made no sense, but she had learned that logic did not always rule in these chambers. Honored Counselor, humanity has followed all established protocols for expansion, Kate replied. Our settlements are on uninhabited worlds in sectors designated for new colony development. We have harmed no existing civilizations. Admiral Zarath clicked her mandibles together in what her species considered laughter. The insectoid alien towered over most other representatives, her forearms moving in gestures that showed clear dismissal of human concerns. Her compound eyes reflected light in patterns that Kate had learned meant contempt. Protocols written when humans were considered a developing species, Zarath said. Your people consume resources at rates that threaten stability across multiple sectors. Your technology spreads without proper oversight. Your very presence disrupts established trade patterns. Kate felt Captain Martinez shift behind her, and she knew the military officer was fighting the same frustration that burned in her own chest. They had come here hoping for reasonable discussion, but it was clear that decisions had already been made. The trial was just for show. Dr. Maya Foster sat in the observation area, her scientist credentials allowing her access to sessions that dealt with technical matters. She watched the proceedings while running calculations on her portable device, analyzing trade data that painted a very different picture than what the council claimed. Human expansion had actually improved economic conditions in most sectors, but someone was feeding false information to the representatives. Lyrelay continued speaking, her words carrying the weight of predetermined judgment. The Galactic Council has determined that human expansion must cease immediately. All settlements beyond the Sol system established in the past 50 years must be abandoned within 30 standard days. The chamber fell silent, except for the low hum of translation devices, working to convert the ultimatum into hundreds of languages. Kate felt her heart sink as she realized the true scope of what was being demanded. The colonies in question housed over 200 million people who had built lives on worlds they now called home. Counselor Moonwhisper, surely you understand that relocating such populations cannot be accomplished safely in 30 days, Kate said. We request a reasonable timeline that allows for proper evacuation procedures. Lyrelay's expression did not change, but her voice carried a note of finality that made several alien representatives nod in approval. The timeline is not negotiable. Compliance is not optional. Should humanity fail to meet these requirements, the Council will take corrective action to ensure galactic stability. Captain Martinez stepped forward, her uniform crisp and her bearing straight, despite the hopeless situation developing before them. She had spent 30 years in Earth's defense forces, rising through ranks by keeping her people alive in impossible situations. Something about this entire proceeding felt wrong beyond just the unfair demands. What kind of corrective action? Martinez asked. Admiral Zarath answered before Lyrelay could speak, her mechanical voice carrying undertones of eager anticipation. Military enforcement of Council decisions. Your species will comply or face consequences appropriate to the threat you represent. Maya looked up from her device, catching sight of energy readings that made no sense. The Council chamber's power systems were running at levels far higher than needed for a simple session. Defensive systems throughout the station were active, as if someone expected trouble. She began recording everything her sensors detected while keeping her expression neutral. Kate made one final attempt at diplomacy, knowing it would fail but needing to try for the sake of history. The human government requests mediation through established channels. We are willing to discuss reasonable compromises that address council concerns while protecting the lives of our citizens. Lyreley stood, signaling the end of the session with a gesture that caused other representatives to begin filing out of the chamber. There will be no mediation. There will be no compromise. You have 30 days to comply with council directives. Use that time wisely. As the chamber emptied, Captain Martinez moved close to Ambassador Sullivan, her voice low enough that only Kate could hear. The Endgame protocol has been authorized. We're not as helpless as they think. Kate nodded slightly, understanding that something had been set in motion long before this day. Humanity had not survived as long as it had by accepting defeat without preparation. While the council saw weakness and primitive thinking, they had missed signs that would soon become impossible to ignore. Maya gathered her equipment and data, already knowing that the readings she had collected would prove useful in the days ahead. The council believed they understood human capabilities, but their intelligence was incomplete. That mistake would cost them dearly when Earth's real response began. 3 days after the council session, Lyreley Moonwhisper stood before a massive holographic display showing human territories across the galaxy. Red markers indicated colony worlds that would soon be empty, while blue lines traced the most efficient routes for council enforcement fleets. She felt satisfied watching her staff plot humanity's retreat from space they never should have claimed. The humans are already beginning their withdrawal, reported Commander Veltar, one of her military advisors. Long-range sensors show civilian transports leaving the outer colonies. They appear to be prioritizing evacuation of women and children first. Lyreley nodded approvingly. As expected, they lack the resolve to resist a unified council decision. Their emotional attachment to individual lives makes them predictable. In the Hive Collective's command center, General Kextar studied intelligence reports about human military capabilities with growing confidence. The insectoid leader had access to detailed files gathered over decades of observation, and everything indicated that humanity possessed only basic defensive technologies. Their ships were slower than most council vessels, their weapons were kinetic rather than energy-based, and their tactics relied on outdated formation fighting. Position our fleets at standard enforcement distance, Kextar ordered her subordinates. Deploy reconnaissance drones to monitor human evacuation progress. We will intervene only if they attempt to resist the lawful orders of the Council. What neither Lyreley nor Kextar realized was that their intelligence networks had been carefully fed false information for over 40 years. Commander Rachel Brooks moved through the shadows of an alien supply depot, her human appearance disguised by technology that made her appear to be a standard Council contractor. She had spent 5 years building her cover identity while gathering real data about alien capabilities and sharing misleading information about human strength. Rachel placed small devices throughout the depot that would later disable communication systems when activated remotely. Her mission was part of a larger network of human operatives who had infiltrated every major alien military installation in the galaxy. The Council believed they were watching humanity, but humans had been watching them much more carefully. On the Elven Research Station orbiting Andromeda Prime, scientist Taranell reviewed technical specifications for human vessels with growing confusion. The data in official files described primitive fusion drives and basic shield generators, but energy signatures her instruments detected from passing human ships told a different story. The readings suggested power outputs impossible for the technology humans were supposed to possess. Taranell ran her calculations 3 times before accepting the results. Either the official intelligence was completely wrong, or humans had developed far more advanced technology than anyone realized. She considered reporting her findings to Lyreley but hesitated, knowing that questioning Council intelligence could damage her career. Back in human space, Dr. Maya Foster worked in a laboratory hidden beneath Luna's surface, coordinating with research teams across dozens of worlds. The facility had existed for 60 years, built during humanity's early years in the Council, when leaders realized that being underestimated might prove useful someday. Every human colony had similar hidden installations where real military research continued while public projects focused on civilian applications. Quantum field generators are ready for deployment, Maya reported to her supervisors through encrypted channels. Communication disruption systems have been tested and confirmed effective against all known alien technologies. Cyber warfare packages are loaded and waiting for activation codes. Maya's real specialty was not xenobiology as her official records indicated, but quantum physics applications in military technology. She had helped develop weapons systems that the Council could not imagine, hidden behind false research into farming and mining techniques. Humanity's greatest advantage was that nobody expected them to be capable of such deception. Admiral Betty Johnson commanded the hidden human fleet from a base built inside an asteroid in the Kuiper Belt. Her ships were invisible to alien sensors, protected by technology that bent light and energy around their hulls. The fleet had grown steadily for decades, while the Council believed humans possessed only a few dozen outdated vessels for system defense. All units report ready status, Johnson announced to her captains during their daily briefing. Stealth systems are functioning perfectly. Long-range weapons are charged and targeting solutions are locked. We are prepared to reveal ourselves when Earth gives the signal. The ships under Johnson's command represented technology decades ahead of anything the Council had seen from humanity. Faster than light travel, without the limitations that restricted alien vessels, weapons that could disable entire fleets, and defensive systems that made them nearly invulnerable to conventional attack. The Council's enforcement action would face opposition they could not comprehend. Lyralay studied reports from the evacuation zones with satisfaction that would soon prove premature. Human transports moved in obvious patterns, broadcasting distress, signals that begged for more time to complete their withdrawal. Families appeared to be abandoning homes and possessions in desperate haste to meet the Council deadline. They are weaker than we estimated, Lyralay told her advisors. Perhaps we should have demanded even more from them. Their willingness to surrender entire worlds shows they have no real attachment to their expansion ambitions. General Kextar agreed with the assessment, ordering her fleets to maintain observation distance while humans completed their apparent retreat. The Hive Collective prided itself on efficiency, and crushing an enemy that offered no resistance seemed wasteful of military resources that could be better used elsewhere. Neither alien commander realized that the human evacuation was perfectly designed to make them comfortable and overconfident. Every transport they observed was real, but for each visible ship moving colonists, 3 hidden vessels were moving military personnel and equipment into position for what would come next. Colonel Nina Hayes worked from a facility on Earth's moon, her computers connected to every major information network in Council space. She had spent years learning alien programming languages and security protocols, preparing for the day when humanity would need to turn their enemies' own systems against them. Her cyber warfare division was ready to sever alien communications and corrupt their tactical computers when the order came. Target priorities are confirmed, Nina reported to her superiors. We can disable their command and control systems within minutes of beginning the attack. Their artificial intelligence networks will be compromised, and their navigation systems will fail simultaneously. The 30-day deadline approached while the Council prepared for an easy victory against a species they viewed as barely capable of interstellar travel. Lyralay scheduled ceremonies to celebrate the restoration of galactic order, while Kextar planned victory parades for her successful enforcement of Council authority. Neither suspected that Earth's real response was already in motion. The 30th day arrived with deceptive calm across human territories. Lyralay Moonwhisper stood in her command center watching the final human transports depart from contested worlds, feeling satisfied that the crisis had been resolved without bloodshed. Her tactical displays showed empty colony sites where millions of humans had once lived, now abandoned to Council authority as demanded. Compliance is complete, reported her aide. All human settlements in disputed sectors have been evacuated. Long-range sensors detect no remaining population centers. Lyralay nodded with approval, already planning how the abandoned worlds could be redistributed among more deserving Council species. The humans had proven themselves incapable of responsible expansion, but their former colonies contained valuable resources that would benefit the galaxy under proper management. General Kextar monitored the situation from her flagship, massive Hive Collective battle cruisers positioned to respond to any last-minute resistance. Her soldiers were disappointed that humans had offered no fight, denying them the chance to demonstrate their superior military capabilities. The evacuation had proceeded exactly as their intelligence predicted, confirming that humanity lacked both the technology and courage to challenge Council decisions. At exactly 1200 hours Galactic Standard Time, every major communication network in Council space received the same transmission. Earth's Planetary Defense Headquarters broadcast on all frequencies, the signal strong enough to reach every inhabited world in known space. President Laura Miller appeared on screens across the galaxy, her expression calm but determined as she delivered humanity's response to the ultimatum. To the Galactic Council and all member species, Miller began, her voice carrying clearly through translation systems. For 30 days we have watched you celebrate what you believed would be our surrender. You demanded we abandon our homes, our lives, our right to exist as free people in this galaxy. You believed we would accept subjugation rather than fight. For our survival. Lyrelay stared at her display in confusion as Miller continued speaking. The human leader should have been announcing compliance with Council demands, not delivering what sounded like a declaration of defiance. Something was terribly wrong with their intelligence assessments. You gave us a choice, Miller said, her image broadcast to billions of alien civilians who had believed the human crisis was over. Submit to your authority or face the consequences of resistance. You told us we had opted for war by refusing to surrender our freedom. Today we want to clarify something important for the historical record. Miller paused, her eyes seeming to look directly at each viewer across space and time. We did not opt for war. You did. The transmission ended, replaced immediately by another signal that made every tactical officer in Council space freeze in terror. Admiral Betty Johnson appeared on military frequencies, her uniform bearing insignia that no alien database could identify. Behind her stood officers whose equipment and bearing suggested technological capabilities far beyond anything in Council intelligence files. Council enforcement fleets, Johnson announced with military precision. You are hereby ordered to stand down and withdraw to your home territories immediately. You have 30 seconds to begin compliance before we demonstrate why attacking humanity was the worst mistake in your civilization's histories. Kextar laughed, the sound emerging from her mechanical translator as harsh, clicking noises. 30 seconds? These humans truly believe their primitive vessels can threaten Hive battlecruisers. She opened communication channels to her fleet commanders, preparing to show these defiant humans the price of resistance. Her laughter died when her tactical displays suddenly filled with new contacts. Ships appeared from nowhere, materializing out of empty space as if they had been invisible moments before. Hundreds of human vessels surrounded her fleet, their energy signatures off the scale of anything her sensors could properly measure. Impossible, Kextar whispered, watching readings that suggested each human ship carried more firepower than her entire fleet combined. Where did they come from? How long have they been there? The answer became clear as stealth fields deactivated across the galaxy. Human vessels revealed themselves in every system where Council forces had positioned themselves for easy enforcement. Action. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies who had been watching them for hours or days without being detected. Colonel Nina Hayes activated her cyber warfare systems from her lunar command center, sending attack programs racing through Council networks at light speed. Alien communication systems failed simultaneously across dozens of worlds, their artificial intelligence networks corrupted by viruses designed specifically to exploit weaknesses humans had identified during decades of careful study. All Council military networks are compromised, Nina reported to her superiors. Their navigation computers are displaying false information. Their weapons targeting systems have been disabled. Their command and control infrastructure is completely offline. Dr. Amy Chen triggered the quantum disruption fields from her research station, sending waves of energy that interfered with every form of faster-than-light communication the Council used. Alien fleets found themselves isolated, unable to coordinate with each other or receive orders from their home governments. Quantum field deployment successful, Amy announced. Council forces cannot communicate beyond individual ship ranges. They are effectively blind and deaf to anything happening more than a few thousand kilometers away. Lyrelay watched in growing horror as her carefully planned enforcement action collapsed into chaos. Her fleets reported being surrounded by human vessels that should not exist, using technology that their intelligence said humans did not possess. Every advantage the Council had counted on was proving to be an illusion. Captain Lisa Martinez commanded one of the human battle groups that had revealed itself around the main council staging area. Her ships moved with precision that demonstrated superior technology and training, while alien vessels struggled with systems that no longer responded to their commands. Council vessels. This is Captain Martinez of the Earth Defense Force. She broadcast on frequencies that somehow penetrated their communication blackout. Your weapons are disabled. Your engines are offline. Your life support systems remain functional as a courtesy. Any attempt to restore combat capability will be considered an act of continued aggression. The aliens tried to respond but found their communication systems completely controlled by human cyber warfare programs. They could receive messages but could not send any, leaving them helpless to coordinate resistance or call for reinforcement. Commander Rachel Brooks activated the devices she had placed throughout alien supply networks, simultaneously disabling logistics systems that kept Council fleets operational. Fuel depots went offline, ammunition storage facilities locked down, and repair stations shut down their automated systems. Across the galaxy, the most powerful military alliance in known space found itself completely outmatched by enemies they had considered primitives. Human technology proved decades ahead of anything the Council possessed, while human planning had anticipated and prepared for every possible alien response. The war had lasted less than 1 hour. In the aftermath of humanity's overwhelming demonstration of power, panic spread through Council space as alien governments struggled to understand how badly they had miscalculated. Lyra Leigh Moonwhisper sat in her disabled command center, staring at tactical displays that showed her once mighty fleets reduced to helpless targets floating in space. Her elegant features were pale with shock as she tried to comprehend the magnitude of her error. "How long have they been planning this?" she whispered to her aide, who was equally stunned by the revelation of human capabilities. "Our intelligence networks have been studying them for over a century. Every report indicated they possessed only basic technology." The answer came in the form of another transmission from Earth, this time featuring Agent Sophie Turner, whose official records listed her as a minor trade liaison, but who now appeared in the uniform of Earth Intelligence Services. She stood before a massive display showing documentation that would reshape galactic understanding of human activities. "For the past 70 years, Sophie announced to the Council leadership, humanity has maintained the largest intelligence network in galactic history. Every major alien government, military installation, and research facility has been thoroughly infiltrated by human operatives. You believed you were watching us, but we were studying you." The display behind Sophie showed photographs and data, files that proved the extent of human penetration into alien society. Council members recognized their own staff members, military advisors, and trusted scientists among the revealed human agents. The scope of the deception was staggering. Tara Nell, the elven scientist who had detected inconsistencies in human technology, assessments, found validation for her concerns in the worst possible way. Her research partner, Valana, arrived at their laboratory with news that changed everything they thought they knew about their human colleagues. "The energy readings you detected were accurate," Valana said, her voice shaking with the implications. "Dr. Maya Foster just revealed that she holds advanced degrees in quantum physics and has been leading weapons research for decades. Every human scientist we thought we knew has been concealing their real qualifications and projects." Tara Nell pulled up files showing human research publications from the past 50 years, now understanding that papers on agricultural improvements and mining efficiency had actually been describing advanced military technologies in coded language. The humans had been sharing their plans openly, but in terms so cleverly disguised that alien readers never realized what they were seeing. President Laura Miller addressed the galaxy again, this time from the Oval Office with Earth visible through the windows behind her. Her tone remained calm and reasonable, despite the chaos her revelations had caused among alien governments. "We want the Council and all member species to understand that humanity never desired conflict," Miller explained. "When we joined the galactic community, we hoped for peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit. However, we also learned from human history that peace requires strength, and that those who appear weak often become victims of those who mistake kindness for inability to resist." Miller gestured to advisors who brought forward historical documents that detailed humanity's long-term planning. From our first day as council members, we began preparing for the possibility that our membership might be challenged by those who viewed us as inferior. Every peaceful gesture was genuine, but every peaceful gesture was also supported by capabilities that we hoped never to reveal. General Kextar struggled to restore communication with her scattered fleets, but human cyber warfare programs had completely dominated her networks. Her ships floated helplessly, while their crews worked frantically to understand technology that operated beyond their comprehension. The Hive Collective's vaunted military efficiency had been reduced to confusion and panic within minutes. Sophie Turner continued her broadcast, revealing the depth of human preparation with documentation that stunned alien intelligence services. Every trade agreement included provisions for strategic resource access. Every cultural exchange program placed human observers in key alien facilities. Every diplomatic mission gathered information about military capabilities and political weaknesses. The displays showed decades of patient intelligence gathering, with human agents slowly mapping every aspect of alien society while appearing to be ordinary civilians pursuing normal activities. Teachers, merchants, researchers, and diplomats had all contributed to a comprehensive understanding of galactic civilization that far exceeded what aliens knew about humanity. Commander Rachel Brooks revealed herself to the alien commanders, whose facilities she had sabotaged, appearing on their communication systems to explain how thoroughly they had been compromised. Her pleasant appearance and friendly demeanor contrasted sharply with the devastating effectiveness of her intelligence operations. "I want to apologize for the deception," Rachel said with apparent sincerity. "But my mission required maintaining cover while gathering information about your military capabilities. The explosive devices I placed throughout your supply networks were not intended to cause casualties, only to demonstrate that human intelligence services have access to every supposedly secure installation in Council space," Dr. Maya Foster broadcast from her hidden laboratory, revealing research facilities that dwarfed anything the Council believed humans possessed. Behind her, advanced technologies operated beyond alien understanding, while human scientists worked on projects that had been secretly funded for generations. The quantum field generators currently disrupting your communications represent 30 years of research into applications that we described in published papers as theoretical studies in stellar phenomena, Maya explained. The stealth systems protecting our fleets were developed through research we reported as investigations into atmospheric optics for improved farming techniques. Colonel Nina Hayes demonstrated her cyber warfare capabilities by briefly restoring alien communication systems, only to disable them again moments later. The display of control over Council networks made clear that human dominance was not temporary, but represented fundamental technological superiority. "Your computer systems are now completely transparent to human intelligence services," Nina announced. "We can access any information, control any network, and disable any system whenever we choose. This capability has existed for over 20 years, but we used it only for gathering information until you forced us to reveal our true abilities." As the full scope of human preparation became clear, moderate voices among alien governments began calling for immediate peace negotiations. The war party led by Lyralee and Kextar found their support evaporating as the cost of their miscalculation became apparent. Councillor Velshan of the Aquatic Federation broke ranks first, broadcasting a message that called for immediate ceasefire and recognition of human equality in galactic affairs. Other species quickly followed, realizing that continued resistance would only invite further demonstration of human superiority. The galaxy was learning that humanity's greatest weapon had not been technology or military strength, but patience, and the willingness to be underestimated until the moment came to reveal their true capabilities. The war that had lasted only hours ended not with destruction, but with an unprecedented display of human mercy that shocked the galaxy more than their technological superiority had. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching disabled Council vessels floating helplessly in space while their crews waited for what they expected would be devastating retaliation for their aggression. Instead of delivering the crushing blow that alien commanders anticipated, Martinez opened communication channels to every disabled ship in her battle group's area of responsibility. Her voice carried clearly through the quantum disruption fields that humans controlled, reaching alien crews who had resigned themselves to death or capture. "All Council vessels, this is Captain Martinez," she announced with professional courtesy that seemed impossible under the circumstances. Your life support systems will remain fully operational. Emergency repair teams are being dispatched to address any critical damage to your ships. Medical assistance is available for any crew members who require treatment. General Kextar listened to the transmission from her disabled flagship, struggling to understand why humans were offering aid to enemies who had come to destroy their civilization. Her tactical training provided no framework for comprehending such behavior from a victorious force. Dr. Maya Foster led the diplomatic mission that would reshape galactic civilization, traveling to the Council's primary station aboard a ship that demonstrated human technological advancement while maintaining an atmosphere of peaceful cooperation. Her scientific credentials provided credibility as she addressed the emergency session that had been called to address the crisis. Humanity requests immediate ceasefire negotiations with all Council member species, Maya announced to the gathered representatives. We have no desire to impose terms through military force, but we do require recognition of our right to exist as equals in galactic society. Taranel and Val-Anna worked together to analyze the true scope of human capabilities, their research providing the Council with honest assessments to replace the false intelligence that had led to the disastrous confrontation. Their findings painted a picture of human advancement that made continued resistance appear not just futile, but potentially suicidal. Human technology exceeds our own in every measurable category, Taranel reported to the emergency session. Their quantum physics applications are decades ahead of our best theoretical work. Their computer systems operate on principles we barely understand. Their materials science allows them to build ships and weapons beyond our current ability to duplicate. Valana added details that emphasized the restraint humans had shown during their demonstration of power. Analysis of the engagement shows that human forces could have destroyed every Council vessel within minutes. Instead, they chose to disable rather than eliminate their opponents. This behavior indicates strategic thinking focused on long-term coexistence rather than domination. Lyrelay Moonwhisper faced the most difficult decision of her long career as she stood before the Council Assembly, knowing that her actions had brought her people to the edge of disaster. The proud elven leader who had dismissed humanity as primitives now had to acknowledge that her arrogance had nearly destroyed everything her civilization had built. I formally withdraw all territorial demands against human settlements, Lyrelay announced, her voice steady despite the personal cost of the admission. The Elven Dominion recognizes human sovereignty over all worlds they currently occupy and requests immediate negotiations to establish proper diplomatic relations. Admiral Zarath made a similar announcement on behalf of the Hive Collective, her mechanical voice carrying undertones of respect that had been absent during their previous interactions with humans. The collective acknowledges human military superiority and requests guidance in establishing peaceful cooperation between our species. President Miller addressed the galaxy one final time, speaking from the United Nations building in New York, with representatives from every human colony world standing behind her. Her words would be remembered as the foundation of a new galactic order based on equality rather than the dominance of established powers. Humanity accepts the Council's request for peace negotiations, Miller announced. We propose the establishment of new galactic agreements that recognize the sovereignty and equality of all member species, regardless of how long they have been part of the galactic community or what level of technology they possess. The negotiations that followed lasted for months, but the outcome was determined by the reality that humans had proven themselves capable of enforcing their demands while choosing restraint over conquest. Ambassador Kate Sullivan led the human delegation with skill that transformed former enemies into partners in building a more equitable galactic civilization. Sophie Turner revealed the full extent of human intelligence networks, working with alien security services to identify and remove human agents while establishing new protocols for information sharing between species. The transparency that had seemed impossible during the years of hidden preparation became the foundation for trust between former adversaries. Commander Rachel Brooks transitioned from covert operations to open cooperation, helping alien governments understand how humans had achieved such comprehensive penetration of their systems while working to prevent similar intelligence failures in the future. Her expertise became invaluable in developing security measures that protected all species from potential threats. Colonel Nina Hayes demonstrated human cyber capabilities to alien computer specialists, sharing defensive techniques while maintaining safeguards that ensured human security. The cooperation between human and alien technicians led to advances that benefited all species while establishing new standards for network security. Captain Martinez commanded the joint patrols that emerged from the new Galactic Accords, with human and alien crews working together to maintain peace and security throughout Council space. The same fleets that had faced each other in brief but decisive combat now served as symbols of cooperation between species. Dr. Amy Chen opened human research facilities to alien scientists, beginning collaborative projects that advanced understanding for all species while ensuring that no single civilization could again threaten galactic stability through technological dominance. The scientific cooperation that emerged exceeded anything the galaxy had previously achieved. The transformation of galactic civilization took years to complete, but its foundation was established in the moment when humanity chose mercy over vengeance and cooperation over conquest. The species that had been dismissed as primitives became the architects of a new age where strength served peace rather than dominance. Lyra Lay Moonwhisper often reflected on the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. They had proven that the greatest power was not the ability to destroy enemies, but the wisdom to transform them into allies. In choosing to be underestimated, humans had gained the opportunity to demonstrate that true civilization was measured, not by the ability to wage war, but by the courage to choose peace when victory was assured.